Somewhere on the internet right now, there is like a completely invisible digital factory.
Right, yeah. No physical address.
Exactly. No physical address, no employees clocking in. There's no glass corporate buildings with server farms humming in the basement.
And definitely no venture capitalists, like drinking free kombucha in a boardroom.
Yeah, zero kombucha. Yet this invisible factory is somehow producing enterprise-grade software. It's generating thousands of euros in revenue, and it is entirely run by a single neurodivergent founder operating just out of a local web browser.
It completely upends our traditional understanding of what a tech company actually looks like. I mean, we are so conditioned to measure scale by looking at headcount or, massive cloud infrastructure costs.
Right, the traditional metrics.
Exactly. But in the modern solo digital economy, the most valuable commercial landscapes are just hidden in plain sight. They exist entirely as this tightly woven web of local folders, markdown files, and raw code.
And today, we actually have the blueprints to that specific factory.
Which is incredibly rare.
It's totally mind-blowing. Imagine you are standing in front of a heavy steel door and you are about to crack open the top secret, highly classified vault of a profoundly successful digital inventor.
Yeah, we have our hands on a really fascinating document today.
We do. It is literally titled the IP Valuation Report for Tashmir Digital Assets, and it's updated exactly as of March 28, 2026.
Which I just have to say is a remarkable piece of documentation to get access to.
Oh, for sure.
Typically, you only see an intellectual property valuation report during like a massive corporate merger, right? Or when a tech giant is trying to secure some 9-figure bank loan.
Right, not for one person.
Yeah, to see a financial x-ray of this magnitude applied to a single human being's digital output is just incredibly rare.
So our mission for this deep dive into the source material is massive. Whether you are a creator yourself or, an aspiring entrepreneur with a really messy desktop.
Which is most of us.
Guilty. Or if you're just insanely curious about where the digital economy is actually heading, this deep dive is your blueprint.
We are going to deconstruct exactly how this solo creator built an intellectual property portfolio that is currently valued between 102,500 and 221,000 euros.
With a mid-range valuation of about 163,000 euros.
Exactly. But we aren't stopping there. We're going to examine the exact step-by-step roadmap they've architected to scale this invisible portfolio to a staggering 1 million euro valuation.
I mean, €1 million from local folders, it's nuts.
It is. And to do that justice, we really have to look closely at the architecture they've laid out. This isn't just like a spreadsheet of random files.
Right. What are we actually looking at in the sources?
We are looking at a comprehensive valuation report, highly detailed revenue projections, the actual business architecture notes, and perhaps most crucially, the private, personal reflections of the founder.
And we should probably note right up front, the founder explicitly documents that they are navigating this entire empire-building process while being neurodivergent and managing ADHD.
Yes, that context is absolutely vital to how the whole system is built.
Which, as someone who struggles to keep more than 3 browser tabs organized, the structural discipline of this is completely mind-blowing to me.
It requires an entirely different approach to work. I mean, to make sense of it all and prevent total cognitive overload, the creator has structured their empire into a distinct ecosystem divided into 4 very specific layers.
Okay, lay them out for me.
Yeah, so there's the foundation layer, the product layer, the growth layer, and the prompt maps. Our goal today is to synthesize all of this raw, highly technical data and figure out the underlying logic of how this machine actually functions.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
As you look through the architecture of these layers, you realize this creator isn't just making a digital product, selling it, and moving on.
Right, it's not a one-and-done model.
No, not at all. They're using their own digital creations to build more digital creations. They're literally building the tools that build the tools. It's this wild, infinite loop of value generation.
That is the perfect way to frame it. I mean, they have achieved a level of leverage that is usually reserved for like a 50-person tech agency.
Yeah.
And they've done it just by turning their own internal daily processes into sellable assets.
So let's turn the key on this vault and start with the absolute bedrock.
Yeah.
The valuation report calls this first part the fundament or foundation layer.
Right.
And looking at the numbers, this layer alone is carrying a valuation between 40,000 and 90,000 euros. What exactly is sitting in the foundation that makes it worth almost 100 grand?
So the foundation layer is essentially the manufacturing core. It's primarily made up of 2 major categories of assets. You have your operating systems and your BIAB builders.
And BIAB stands for Business in a Box.
Exactly. BIAB is business in a box.
I love that phrasing. It just strips away all the tech jargon and tells you exactly what the outcome is.
It's brilliant marketing,
Yeah.
honestly. But let's start with the operating system, because this is really the crown jewel of the foundation. They call it the combined OS. It is a fully functional operating system built entirely in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Wait,
Yeah.
I have to stop you there. When you say operating system, my brain immediately goes to, like, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux.
Sure. The heavy hitters.
Massive multi-gigabyte installations that require teams of thousands of engineers to maintain. You're telling me this person built an OS out of HTML.
I am.
That sounds like a 1990s GeoCities webpage. How is an HTML file functioning as an OS?
It's a really brilliant question, and it highlights a major shift in modern web capabilities. We aren't talking about a static web page with a little hit counter at the bottom.
Right?
We are talking about a highly complex browser-based dashboard that acts as a central command center. The documentation shows this combined OS has over 8 distinct modules. Yeah, it has light and dark mode toggles. It has multi-currency tools, so the creator can natively switch their financial dashboards between euros and dollars. And it has a fully resizable modular sidebar.
Okay, but how does it save anything?
That's the real magic. The reason it functions as a true OS is its reliance on a web technology called local storage.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does local storage actually do in this context?
So normally when you use a web app, like Notion or Google Drive, every time you type a letter or create a folder, that data is sent through the internet to a remote cloud server owned by a massive corporation.
Right, like AWS or something.
Exactly. Local storage is a feature built directly into modern web browsers that allows a web application to save data right onto your physical hard drive inside the browser's cache
Wait, without ever pinging the internet.
without ever pinging the internet.
So the entire application, all the data, all the client notes, it all lives strictly on the user's laptop.
Exactly. It completely eliminates the need for expensive AWS cloud hosting, meaning the creator has zero monthly server costs.
That's incredible.
But more importantly, it provides absolute airtight privacy. Because the data never leaves the device, it literally cannot be hacked in a server breach.
Because there is no server.
Exactly. And this specific, highly patched version of their local OS alone is valued at up to 30,000 euros.
That is a massive paradigm shift. No subscription fees to keep the software running and complete data sovereignty.
Yeah.
But the Vault notes show it gets even crazier. Alongside this combined OS, they have the BIAB builders. There is a specific asset listed here called the 8-figure BIAB builder.
Right, the generator.
Yeah, and the notes highlight that it is ZIP enabled. Walk me through the mechanics of that. What does a ZIP enabled builder actually do?
This is where the engineering moves from just functional to highly lucrative. The 8-figure BIAB builder is a generator. Imagine you open this HTML tool in your browser.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You are presented with a series of input fields. You type in a specific niche, let's say freelance graphic designers. You select the color palette, and you input some pricing parameters.
Right.
When you hit generate, the JavaScript within this tool instantly writes dozens of new files. It generates custom markdown templates, it writes customized sales copy, it formats organizational structures
So it's literally writing an entire suite of digital products on the fly.
instantly. And the ZIP-enabled part is the real kicker. Using a JavaScript library, the tool compresses all of those newly generated customized files into a single ZIP folder and triggers a download right there in your browser.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you input parameters, and 3 seconds later, your browser downloads a complete, ready-to-sell business inventory.
So if I own this builder, I don't have to sit down and write a new template from scratch ever again. I just feed the machine some variables and it spits out the inventory.
Exactly. You're mass-producing digital assets. Because of that specific capability, this suite of builders is valued at up to 25,000 euros.
That makes total sense.
But, and this is really crucial, the most valuable asset in this foundation layer is neither the OS nor the builder itself. It's a simple text document.
Really? A text document?
Yeah, a markdown file called the OS Builder Protocol.
The OS Builder Protocol. Why is a text document carrying a 10,000 euro valuation? I mean, it's just words on a page, isn't it?
It's not just words, though. It is the ultimate playbook. The OS Builder Protocol is a comprehensive step-by-step master manual detailing exactly how the creator built the combined OS and the BIAB generators in the first place.
Oh.
It contains the structural blueprints, the design system hierarchy, the pricing logic, the exact AI prompts used to generate the code, and a rigorous quality assurance checklist.
So it's the recipe.
It's more than the recipe. What's fascinating here is how intellectual property valuation actually works. The valuation isn't based on the file size or the word count.
Right.
It's based on the economic leverage the document provides. This creator hasn't just built a cool piece of software. They have meticulously productized the process of building the software.
So you buy the capability.
Yes. If you acquire the OS Builder protocol, you don't just get one operating system. You acquire the capability to spin up a Creator OS, an Educator OS, a Real Estate OS, over and over again. The true economic value of that document lies in the future, repeatable revenue it enables.
That makes total sense when you break it down like that. To use an analogy, let's say you go to a high-end bakery and you buy a phenomenal award-winning cake.
Okay, I like cakes.
Right. That cake is the digital product. It's great, you consume it, and then it's gone. What this creator is doing is entirely different. They aren't in the business of selling individual cakes.
No, not at all.
They are selling the patented recipe for the cake. They are selling the specialized industrial oven used to bake it. And with the OS Builder protocol, they are selling the exact architectural floor plans for the factory that houses the oven.
That is precisely it. The protocol is the factory floor plan. The BIAB generator is the industrial oven, and the templates it spits out are the cakes.
It's a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. If a mid-sized digital agency wanted to build this automated factory from scratch, they would have to pay a team of UX designers, senior developers, and product managers tens of thousands of dollars just to figure out the workflows. This creator has bottled that entire discovery process into a single asset.
Okay, I love the factory concept, but I have to push back hard here because I am seeing a massive, glaring logical flaw in this setup.
All right, let's hear it.
We established earlier that the creator uses this combined OS for their own personal life, right?
Yes.
The notes explicitly say they use it to run their business, manage their private CRM, and track their daily personal goals.
Yeah, it is their daily driver.
Right. So if this OS is full of their private notes, their client contacts, and their revenue numbers, I mean, how on earth do they package and sell this exact same OS to a customer without accidentally leaking their entire private life onto the internet?
It's a huge problem, yeah.
You can't just take your personal diary, slap a price tag on it, and put it on a storefront.
It's a very real security risk, and it is the central tension of building in public. Many creators actually stumble right here.
What do they usually do?
They end up maintaining two completely separate code bases. One private, messy OS for themselves, and one clean public OS to sell. But for a solo founder, maintaining two code bases is an absolute nightmare.
Because every time you invent a new feature, you have to write the code twice.
Exactly.
Which totally defeats the purpose of being an efficient solo operator. So how do they actually solve it?
They solve it with a technical strategy they document as the export clean template method.
Okay.
They only maintain one code base, their own messy, highly personalized OS. But built into the core functionality of this HTML dashboard are native export scripts. In the code, these are labeled as functions like download current page or export notes.
So they just hit an export button, but wouldn't that just export all of their private data?
Not with this script. The source notes reveal that the export function doesn't just copy the files, it acts as an active filter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. When the creator clicks the export clean template button, the JavaScript immediately scans the document object model, the structure of the page. It looks for any data tag with specific internal classes, like .private data or .current contact.
And it just deletes it.
Yes. The script actively strips out the inner HTML of those sections. It deletes the private pen names, it wipes the client contacts, it erases the personal daily logs, and it forcefully resets all the revenue dashboard charts back to zero.
That is incredibly slick. It automates the sanitization process entirely.
Exactly. It strips all the personal data, but it leaves the entire UI, the complex pipelines, the color schemes, and the underlying architecture perfectly intact.
Wow.
Then it uses that ZIP library we talked about to bundle this freshly scrubbed version into a pristine download. So the creator gets to live in their personalized OS every single day, and when they are ready to sell a new copy, they literally push one button, the script sanitizes the factory, and a market-ready template is produced in seconds.
Hey, that completely answers my concern. The technical elegance of that is just stunning. So we've established the foundation. They have this massive automated factory. They have the ovens, the recipes, the floor plans, and the sanitization protocols to keep it all secure. But, a factory is ultimately useless if it doesn't produce something that the outside world actually cares about. An oven that bakes nothing isn't worth a dime,
True.
which naturally leads us to ask, what exactly is this creator building with this incredible infrastructure?
And this is where the valuation report takes a very sharp turn. We move from cold, hard business efficiency into something profoundly human. The second layer of this ecosystem, the product layer, is valued between 35,500 and 67,000 euros.
Okay.
And it is entirely dedicated to a brand called Axis.
And what does Axis do?
Axis is exclusively focused on mental health support, trauma processing, and social safety.
When I first read that in the outline, I genuinely had to read it twice.
It's quite a pivot.
It subverted all my expectations. We go from business-in-a-box generators that spit out marketing templates straight into tools designed for deep emotional trauma. And the sheer scale of the Axis platform is staggering.
It really is.
The creator calls these tools Axis Companions, and there are 13 of them listed in the report.
The breadth of the subject matter is striking, especially for a solo creator. I mean, the documentation lists an Axis Grief Companion. There is a Homeless Survival Companion, which the notes specify is fully localized in both English and Dutch.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there is a massive, multi-tiered suite for bullying.
And the bullying suite isn't just like a generic pamphlet, right?
Far from it. The architecture notes show it segmented into a specific pack for the victims to process the trauma, a separate support pack designed for parents to know how to respond, and a pro pack designed for educators and social workers to actually implement in classrooms.
That is so comprehensive.
They also list tools for accessible writing and a digital confidence pack.
And there was one specific companion that really jumped out at me. The No Clear Mind, No Clear Sky Aviation Safety Edition.
Yes, that is a highly specialized piece of intellectual property. It takes the core mental safety protocols and adapts them specifically for the aviation industry for pilots and flight crews. We are talking about critical grounding checklists and mental stability assessments designed to be used right before someone steps into a cockpit.
But how does an HTML tool actually execute this? I mean, the notes mention HTML test tools that measure IQ, EQ, and MBTI metrics, as well as something called the 404 Mood and Stability Protocols.
Right.
Again, how does a static local file measure a complex psychological metric like emotional intelligence or Myers-Briggs?
It comes back to the power of local JavaScript. These aren't just, reading materials, they are interactive tools. When a user opens one of these HTML tests, they are presented with a series of situational questions.
Okay.
As they click their answers, the JavaScript logic trees running in the background assign weighted values to different psychological variables.
So if I answer a certain way, it tallies a score for extroversion or emotional regulation.
Precisely. And because it utilizes that local storage we discussed earlier, a user can take an hour-long emotional stability test, close their browser by accident, and when they reopen it, the JavaScript retrieves their progress right from the local cache.
That's incredibly user-friendly.
Is it? It calculates their MBTI score or their mood stability index locally and updates the dashboard with personalized coping strategies. It is a fully interactive application that never sends a single byte of the user's emotional state to an external server. Utter privacy for highly sensitive data.
Okay, the tech is brilliant, but we need to have a serious conversation about the elephant in the room here.
Let's do it.
Monetizing mental health is an absolute ethical minefield. It is so easy to cross the line into exploitation. If someone is experiencing homelessness, or they are dealing with severe grief or active suicidal ideation, putting a €100 paywall in front of a digital tool that could potentially help them survive the night feels deeply extractive.
Absolutely.
How does a solo creator navigate the ethics of pricing this kind of IP without becoming a digital slumlord?
It's the most critical question in this entire report, really. And the creator navigates it by implementing a very deliberate, bifurcated business model. If we connect this to the bigger picture of the valuation, this dual structure is exactly why the Axis platform is considered so commercially viable while remaining ethically sound.
So they have two tiers.
They operate on two distinct tiers.
Break down tier 1 for me. How does the direct-to-consumer side work?
Tier 1 is the Axis store. This is the public-facing storefront for everyday consumers. And the pricing strategy here is driven entirely by empathy and harm reduction. For the highly vulnerable tools, specifically the Homeless Survival Companion and the Suicide Safety Companion, the pricing is hard-coded to pay what you can, which effectively means $0+.
So they completely remove the financial friction. If you are in crisis and you have $0 in your bank account, you just click download and you have the tool.
Exactly. They are fundamentally refusing to gatekeep survival resources.
It's incredible.
Now, for the standard consumer packs, Things like the General Grief Companion or the Digital Confidence Pack, which are dealing with less acute everyday struggles, they utilize a low-ticket model. These are priced very reasonably between 19 and 39 euros.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, is the structured support accessible to the average person who maybe can't afford a 200 euro an hour therapist, but really needs some interactive coping mechanisms?
I deeply respect that approach. But let's look at this from the perspective of the IP evaluation report.
Okay.
If they are giving away the most critical, highly developed tools for free and charging a maximum of 39 euros for the rest, how in the world does this product layer reach a 67,000 euro valuation? You can't reach those numbers selling 30 euro PDFs. Where's the actual economic engine?
The economic engine is Tier 2. Tier 2 is the B2B business-to-business licensing model. And interestingly, this is run through their commercial brand, Digistact, rather than the Axis brand.
Oh, so they separate the brands for this.
Right. The underlying philosophy is simple. While a struggling individual gets the tools for free or cheap, well-funded institutions and corporations are charged premium enterprise rates for customized HTML bundles of these exact same protocols.
Give me a concrete scenario of how that B2B transaction works.
Let's go back to the aviation safety pack. A commercial airline has massive legal liability and a profound duty of care regarding the mental stability of its flight crews.
Sure, an unstable pilot is a catastrophic risk.
Exactly. If the creator licenses the No Clear Mind, No Clear Sky HTML pack to an airline's internal training department, they aren't charging 39 euros. The projected pricing for an institutional license is between 3,000 and 10,000 euros per year.
Wow. Okay, that changes the math entirely.
Similarly, consider the bullying suite. If a massive school district wants to deploy the Axis anti-bullying suite, equipping every victim, parent, and teacher with the HTML protocols, they don't go to the public store. They purchase an enterprise school safety pack license.
And what does that run?
The valuation projects this at 750 to 2,000 euros a year, which grants the school the right to distribute the tools across their entire internal network.
That is a phenomenal structure. It's essentially a modern Robin Hood model.
It really is.
By strictly separating the consumer from the institution, they completely prevent cannibalization. The vulnerable user gets the interactive help they desperately need without hitting a paywall. And the multi-million-dollar institutions who have budgets specifically earmarked for risk management pay market rates to solve their organizational liabilities.
It is a masterclass in ethical monetization. The enterprise sales completely subsidize the free public resources. But, as you alluded to earlier, operating in this space introduces an existential risk for a solo founder.
Right, because let's be real here. If you are a solo creator, sitting in your bedroom, writing code and interactive protocols for suicide safety or severe trauma, how do you protect yourself from the legal fallout?
It's a huge liability.
Releasing tools that deal with literal life and death is terrifying. If someone uses the Axis Companion, misinterprets the HTML test, and gets hurt, isn't the creator personally liable? How do they shield themselves without a massive corporate legal team drafting endless terms and conditions?
It's a risk that destroys a lot of health tech startups, but the valuation report highlights a specific asset that addresses this directly. It's called the Axis Product Methodology.
Okay.
This isn't just a piece of software. It is a strict, inflexible, ethical framework that dictates exactly how every tool is built. The files detail rigorous adherence to crisis resource protocols and really robust disclaimer systems.
So it's not just a legal document hidden in the footer, it's baked into the user experience.
It is the very first thing the user interacts with. The methodology ensures that it is explicitly clear to the end user at every single touch point that these companions are psychoeducation and reflection tools.
Not therapy.
Right. They are definitively, legally, and functionally not clinical therapy. For example, before a user can even unlock the Suicide Safety Companion, the HTML tool might require them to physically click through a modal that acknowledges this is a self-guided reflection tool and provides immediate hotlines to actual clinical professionals.
You have to put the guardrails up before you let anyone drive on the track.
Precisely. By clearly, repeatedly defining the boundary between a digital reflection tool and professional medical intervention, the creator mitigates their legal liability while still providing immense value to the user.
And the valuators see this as a huge asset.
Absolutely. The documentation shows that the valuators treat this ethical framing not as an afterthought, but as a core piece of the defensible intellectual property. It is what makes the product viable in the real world.
Okay, I am taking a step back here and looking at the sheer scope of what we've covered. On one side, this solo founder is managing a highly complex enterprise-grade HTML/OS factory. On the other side, they are developing and licensing a deeply sensitive, heavily regulated mental health platform. Just the context switching alone between those two worlds, going from like, how do I optimize this checkout page to how do I build a trauma processing test, requires immense cognitive bandwidth.
It's staggering.
How does one single human being do this without a massive team of project managers, copywriters, and analysts? I feel like you would literally have to clone your own brain to keep this running.
Which is exactly what they've done. And that brings us to the third layer of this ecosystem, which functions as the cognitive engine of the entire operation.
Let's get into it. The valuation report calls this section the growth tools and the prompt map.
Right.
And according to the numbers, it's split into two parts. You have the GROE or growth layer, valued between 25,000 and 60,000 euros. And then you have this fascinating new asset category, simply called the prompt map, valued at 2,500 to 6,000 euros.
Let's tackle the growth tools briefly, because these are essentially the shipping trucks leaving the factory we built in Layer 1.
Okay, the distribution.
Exactly. These are the mechanisms that push the products into the market. The files list a comprehensive SEO protocol, specialized copywriting guides optimized for a platform called PayHip, email outreach templates with a built-in tracking system, and something called a niche-to-brief generator.
Wow.
There's also a mention of a self-hosted digital marketplace called Offeran that is currently hidden within the OS code, just waiting to be deployed.
So they have essentially automated their entire marketing department. They aren't waking up and wondering what to post. They just run the niche to brief generator.
Right, they've systematized it all.
But what really caught my eye here, the thing I just cannot stop thinking about, is this prompt map. The turn itself sounds like a cyberpunk treasure map. What exactly is a prompt map?
A prompt map is a highly organized, heavily structured library of AI workflows. In the modern digital economy, we all have access to the same large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever.
Sure, everyone has the same tools.
But how you speak to that AI, the precise constraints you give it, and the logical steps you force it to follow, that is where the value is created. The creator has categorized their map into two distinct sections, sellable prompts and private prompts.
Let's look at the sellable ones first, because this makes immediate sense to me. The sources list a file called writelikeahumanprompt.md.
Yeah, a classic use case.
There are also automated templates for generating YouTube thumbnails and creating book covers. These are clearly utility tools.
Yes, and the valuation report explicitly advises the creator to bundle these specific files into an AI workflow prompt pack for creators. They project pricing this bundle at an accessible 37 to 67 euros. It's a great low-ticket entry point for their audience.
But then we look at the private prompts, and this is where the documentation gets highly personal again.
Very personal.
The files list 404 character files, scene templates for a fiction project involving a throuple, personal mood logs, and these deeply fascinating things called soul passports for characters named Shalina and Pucky. What in the world is a soul passport?
What we are looking at in the private prompts is the raw, unfiltered creative and psychological engine of the founder. A soul passport is essentially a highly detailed markdown file that acts as a psychological profile for a character or a persona.
So it's like a character Bible.
Exactly. But for an AI, it contains variables representing their core fears, their linguistic quirks, their emotional baselines, and their historical trauma.
So if they want the AI to write a scene involving Shalina, they don't just say, write a scene about Shalina. They feed the AI the soul passport.
Exactly. The passport acts as a rigid constraint mask. It forces the LLM to filter its vast, generic knowledge base through the highly specific, nuanced psychology of that character.
Oh, that's wild.
The AI isn't allowed to use certain words. It must react to specific triggers exactly as defined in the passport. These private prompts are the files where the creator processes their own emotions, builds their fictional worlds, and documents their internal state.
So you obviously cannot bundle those up and sell them for 37 euros on the internet.
No, absolutely not. And this raises an incredibly important point about data hygiene when you are in the business of productizing your own mind. The expert analysis in the source material highlights the strict discipline required to manage this.
How do they do it?
The creator uses a rigorous tagging system in their notes application, likely something like Obsidian, using tags like #productready versus #privatecore.
Oh, I see. It's the exact same problem they had with the OS. They have to keep the streams from crossing?
Precisely. Before a workflow or a prompt can be commercialized, it has to be rigorously scrubbed. The creator must ensure that personal chain analyses of their own mental state or the intimate, vulnerable details of a soul passport are fully anonymized.
They have to pull the mechanics out of the emotion.
Yes, they have to extract the underlying structural logic of how the prompt forces the AI to behave without leaking the deeply personal data that was used to test it.
I'm trying to visualize this. It's like an illusionist.
The illusionist.
Yeah, think of a famous stage magician. That illusionist can absolutely sell a book to other magicians explaining the mechanical engineering of a magic trick. They can sell the blueprints showing how the trapdoor opens, where the mirrors are placed, how the lighting obscures the wires.
Right, the mechanics.
That's the structural logic. That is sellable. But the illusionist is never going to sell you the specific, private emotional memories they tap into to perform the trick on stage. They are selling the blueprint of the illusion, not the soul of the performance.
That is an exceptionally strong analogy. By selling the AI workflow prompt pack, the creator is selling the exact automated brains they use to review code, generate niches, and format complex data. They are selling the trapdoors and the mirrors. They are selling the operating manuals of their own success.
Okay, I see the value in that, but I have to challenge this valuation.
Go for it.
AI is evolving at a breakneck pace. We are seeing major model updates every few weeks. A prompt that works perfectly, flawlessly on Claude 3 today might be completely broken or just entirely redundant on Claude 4 next month.
That's a very common fear.
Right. The AI might just get smart enough to not need the soul passport at all. So why would a professional IP valuation report assign thousands of euros of value to an AI prompt map if a new model update might make the entire syntax obsolete by Tuesday? Isn't this highly depreciating IP? It feels like valuing a block of ice in the sun.
It's a very valid concern, and honestly, it's the most common misunderstanding of what prompt engineering actually is at a high level. The source material counters this concern by emphasizing where the actual durable value lies.
And where is that?
The value is not in the specific syntax. It's not in the exact string of words used to command a specific version of a specific AI. The value is in the methodology and the cognitive structure of the workflows.
Explain that difference for me, because to me, a prompt is just the words you type.
Let's look at a specific file mentioned in the report, the Chat Archive Workflow v2. This is a complex prompt designed to handle massive amounts of text, detect recurring themes, and cross-reference them against the character passport. Now, if a new AI model comes out next year, the specific code words or markdown brackets used to trigger that analysis might change. The syntax changes. But the logic, the sequence of requiring an AI to first isolate themes, then verify them against a set of constraints, then format the output into a specific JSON structure, that logic is permanent.
Oh, I see.
The methodology outlasts the specific AI model.
So they've essentially mapped out the thinking process.
Exactly. The creator has mapped out the complex cognitive steps required to do high-level work. Once you have that cognitive map, you can port it to any future AI system. You just translate the logic into the new syntax.
Wow.
That structural thinking, that architectural approach to problem solving, is what holds the 6,000 euro valuation. It's the difference between knowing how to say hello in French and understanding the universal mechanics of linguistics.
Okay, my mind is properly blown now. The sheer volume and density of the IP we have just walked through is staggering. Let's recap what's in the vault.
Let's do it.
We have foundation OS builders that act as automated software factories. We have a dual-tier mental health platform that balances extreme pay-what-you-can empathy with high-ticket enterprise licensing.
Right.
We have a meticulously organized AI prompt library that acts as a cloned automated workforce. And the report states this current portfolio, valued at roughly 163,000 euros, has a very clear documented pathway to scale to a 1 million euro valuation.
It does. The roadmap is explicit.
But how? How do they cross that chasm?
Yeah.
Going from 100 grand to a million isn't just doing more of the same. How does one person turn a highly organized folder of files into a 1 million euro enterprise?
That requires a fundamental shift in strategy, which brings us to the fourth major component of the source material. Scaling to 1 million through the power of audio and hyper-niche podcasting.
I am extremely ready for this part. Audio is my territory.
I figured you'd like this. The overarching strategy to jump from 163K to the 500K to 1 million bracket requires moving the creator's focus from pure creation into stabilization and high-ticket licensing. The roadmap details scaling from their current 2 OS platforms to having 5 to 7 niche OS products in the market. They specifically mention launching a Creator OS, an Educator OS, and an agency OS.
And what about the mental health side?
Simultaneously, they plan to finalize those Access institutional licenses we discussed earlier, generating verifiable B2B case studies.
Because enterprise buyers want proof. A school district isn't going to buy a 2,000 euro safety pack unless they see a case study proving it actually works in a real-world environment.
Exactly. The case studies are the key to the enterprise locks.
Yeah.
But the most innovative part of this entire scaling strategy, the engine that will drive the awareness, is the introduction of what they call the audio layer.
The audio layer.
Yes. The creator plans to use tools like NBLM, which is NotebookLM, to create educational conversational audio deep dives of their own complex protocols. Sound familiar?
Wait a minute. They're using AI to generate audio deep dives of their own source material to explain their own complex digital products to their users. That is literally what we are doing right now. We are inside the matrix. This is so meta.
We are indeed part of the architecture, and it solves a massive problem for the creator. They recognize that dropping a highly complex ZIP-enabled HTML builder or a dense ethical protocol document onto a new user can be incredibly overwhelming.
Oh, completely. It's too dense.
So the audio layer acts as a bridge. It translates the dense technical files into digestible human conversation. But beyond just education, the source notes break down the incredible asymmetrical economics of a hyper-niche podcast strategy.
Okay, let's look at the math here, because I know this industry. Traditional podcast monetization is famously brutal.
It really is.
If you have a standard ad-supported podcast running on a traditional CPM model, cost per mil, meaning cost per 1,000 listeners, and you have an audience of 1,000 people, you are making absolute pennies.
The notes detail this exact scenario. A standard podcast with 1,000 listeners might command $15 to $40 per ad slot from a sponsor. If you run one ad per episode and you release 4 episodes a month, you are netting maybe $70 to $100 a month total.
Pocket change. You can't run an empire on $100 a month. You can barely buy groceries, which is why most creators burn out trying to chase an audience of millions just to make a living wage off mattress and VPN ads.
Which raises an incredibly important question. What if you completely abandoned the advertising model?
Okay.
What if you don't sell ads for mattress companies, but instead you use the audio layer entirely to sell your own high-ticket intellectual property?
Oh, wow. Okay, run those numbers for me. How does the math change?
Let's take that same audience of 1,000 listeners,
Okay.
but these aren't casual listeners. They are a highly engaged, hyper-niche audience tuning in to hear deep, complex discussions about digital systems, local OS architecture, and mental health tech. If just 1 to 2% of those 1,000 listeners decide to buy your low-ticket tool bundle for 97 euros, that is 10 to 20 sales. That generates roughly 1,000 to 2,000 euros a month.
From the exact same 1,000 listeners, that would have only generated $100 in ad revenue. That is a 10x to 20x increase in revenue without needing a single new listener.
Exactly. And it scales exponentially when you introduce the high-ticket items. If just one of those 1,000 listeners represents an agency, and they hear the audio deep dive explaining the power of the OS Builder protocol, and they decide to buy an enterprise OS license for 997 euros, your revenue completely decouples from your audience size.
You just don't need millions of downloads anymore.
You need a few hundred of the right people. The audio acts as a script and system layer. It humanizes the IP. It takes complex HTML code and makes it deeply accessible because the buyer has a voice in their ear explaining not just the what, but the why and the how.
I absolutely love it. It completely changes how you view audience building. It's like, okay, imagine you go to an incredible art museum. You can walk around in silence, looking at the paintings. You might appreciate them. You might think the colors are nice, but you probably won't fully understand the historical context.
Sure.
And you certainly aren't going to drop thousands of dollars on a replica print in the gift shop on your way out. But let's say you take the audio guide at the entrance, and as you walk through the gallery, you have an expert voice in your ear, walking you through the brushstrokes, explaining the turbulent history of the artist, revealing the hidden meanings woven into the canvas.
It changes the whole experience.
Exactly. By the time you reach the end of the exhibit, you value those paintings so much more. You are emotionally invested. The audio guide, the podcast, builds so much context that you eagerly walk into the gift shop and buy the expensive print.
That is precisely the psychological mechanism at play. The audio creates a parasocial bond and establishes profound, undeniable authority. When the creator bundles a 997 euro software license with a private podcast feed that explains exactly how to deploy it within an agency, the perceived value of the software skyrockets.
It's just a totally different offer at that point.
Exactly. It's no longer just a ZIP file of markdown templates. It's a guided mentorship. It's a consulting relationship scaled through audio.
I need to take a deep breath here. We have talked about a €1 million scaling roadmap. We've talked about complex B2B licensing for trauma tools. We've explored AI prompt maps and hyper niche audio funnels.
It's a lot to process.
If I am listening to this right now and I am trying to build my own business, my head is spinning. And here's the reality check. For a solo founder, especially one who explicitly notes in these very source files that they are neurodivergent and actively managing ADHD trying to execute all of this, sounds like an absolute recipe for instant catastrophic burnout.
Yeah, that is the big danger.
Having $1 million vision on a whiteboard is great, but how does this specific creator actually sit down at their desk and get it done without losing their mind?
It is the trap that catches almost every ambitious creator. Which brings us to the final and arguably most important section of the source material, the execution protocol,
Right.
the solo founder survival guide.
Please tell me they have a system for this, because I am getting stressed just looking at the scope of it.
They do, and it is meticulously documented. The creator has laid out a 12-week immediate roadmap contextualized within a broader 6 to 12-month horizon. And it is specifically designed for stabilizing the Digistack and Axis businesses without triggering cognitive overload.
But how do they fight the urge to build everything at once? Because if you have ADHD and you own an OS builder that can instantly generate any business you can think of, the dopamine hit of building new shiny things must be overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely.
You'd be starting 10 new businesses a day.
It is the core struggle of the neurodivergent entrepreneur. The constant urge to start new projects is a powerful dopamine-seeking behavior. It's how the brain self-medicates, but it destroys execution.
So what's the fix?
The creator combats this by implementing highly specific psychological strategies outlined in 2 critical text files within their vault.
What are the files?
The first is a file called IP Balance Sheet 202603.md. This file actually serves a purely psychological function. It's not for the bank.
Okay, who is it for?
The creator opens it every morning to remind themselves that they have already built a valuable €163,000 digital studio. It grounds them. It provides synthetic dopamine by acting as a daily reminder that says, you do not have a messy folder of random half-finished files. You have a structured empire.
Oh, that's smart.
It prevents the panic of feeling like they haven't accomplished anything, which is often what drives the frantic creation of new projects.
That is profound. It's an emotional anchor. It shifts the mindset from, I need to build something new to have value, to, I need to protect and refine the massive value I already have. What is the second file?
The second file is the tactical engine. It's called Cashflow Focus 2026Q2.md. And this file contains one governing directive. Rule 1. Only one money line at a time.
Only one money line at a time. Okay, what does that actually look like in practice when you have 50 potential products?
It means radical, uncomfortable focus. The notes provide an exact, concrete example. Moneyline number 1 is to acquire 30 customers for the €97 BIA OS Pro within 90 days. That is the only goal.
And what about everything else?
Until that specific metric is met, they are strictly forbidden from touching the Axis anti-bullying pack. They cannot expand the prompt map. They cannot record the podcast. They must ignore the rest of the empire entirely.
That requires so much discipline. It physically hurts to ignore good ideas. But I see the brilliance of it. By focusing on getting just 30 customers, they are grounding their massive, abstract, million-euro ideas into a highly concrete, trackable reality.
Exactly. And they use their own digital storefront, the Digistack brand, as the ultimate output meter. If a brilliant idea doesn't end up as a live purchasable product on that storefront, it doesn't count. It's just noise. Furthermore, the strategy sets a very specific and surprisingly grounded financial definition of what constitutes a fully fledged product line.
What's the target?
The goal is just €3,000 a month in recurring revenue per business line.
Wait, only $3K a month? For a portfolio valued at nearly €200,000 with a roadmap to $1 million, that seems incredibly low. Why not aim for $50K a month?
It's intentionally constrained, and it's brilliant. Setting a massive goal of $50K a month creates a gap between reality and expectation that is deeply demoralizing.
Right.
Setting a goal of €3,000 a month creates a definition of success that is highly achievable for a solo founder. It prevents the constant moving of goalposts that inevitably leads to burnout.
I see. So it's about defining done.
Exactly. If the Digistack OS line hits $3K a month, it is officially considered stable. The box is checked. Then, and only then, do they permit themselves to move their focus to making the Access platform hit its 3K a month. It creates a sustainable floor rather than an exhausting, endless pursuit of an infinite ceiling.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you are sitting there right now looking at a messy computer desktop full of half-finished Notion templates, half-written code snippets, and a dozen brilliant ideas that you haven't executed, how do you actually apply this cash flow focus to your own chaotic life?
The source text provides the exact daily tactic. It is aggressively simple, which is why it works. You block out 15 minutes on your calendar,
Yeah.
you open your cash flow focus document, and you pick exactly one checkbox.
Just one checkbox.
Just one. That checkbox might be write 3 lines of sales copy for the checkout page, or take one screenshot of the BIEBOS interface to use on social media. You do that one highly specific task. And then, and this is the absolute crucial part, you ignore the rest of your empire for the entire rest of the day.
You just walk away.
You close the laptop. You do not look at the other projects. You do not open the other folders to just check on things. You trust the system. You trust that by moving one pebble a day, you will eventually build the wall.
That is the ultimate antidote to overwhelm. You don't have to build the €1 million company today. Just take the screenshot. Just write the 3 lines of copy. The empire will wait for you tomorrow.
It is how a neurodivergent mind systematically conquers a complex digital landscape. By shrinking the daily horizon to 15 minutes, they completely bypass the paralysis of the €1 million vision.
Okay, let's bring this all together. What a journey this has been today. We started by opening the heavy steel doors to a neurodivergent solo founder's digital vault.
We really unpacked a lot.
We explored the foundation layer, understanding exactly how they productize their own internal processes to create HTML OS builders and ZIP-enabled factories.
Right.
We navigated the profound ethical brilliance of the Axis mental health platform, learning how a 2-tier pricing model protects vulnerable users with pay-what-you-can access while licensing high-ticket enterprise packs to institutions.
Which is such a smart model.
We dug deep into the prompt maps, discovering the durable value and the structural logic in operating manuals of AI workflows, rather than just the syntax. We mapped the math of scaling to €1 million, utilizing hyper-niche audio as a parasocial high-ticket funnel.
And we grounded it all.
Yeah, exactly. We grounded it all in an ADHD-proof execution plan that relies on 3K baselines, 15-minute microtasks, and radical, uncomfortable focus.
It truly is a remarkable synthesis. It balances high-level technological architecture, rigorous ethical frameworks, and an incredibly deep level of self-awareness.
So, I want to talk directly to you, the listener. I want to challenge you right now. After hearing all of this, after looking at the blueprints of this invisible factory, I want you to look at your own digital exhaust.
It's a great exercise.
Look at your Notion workspaces, your Obsidian vaults, your messy Google Drive folders. Look at the complex templates you've built just for yourself to survive your work week. Look at the clever workflows you've designed to make your daily life easier. Are you sitting on a €163,000 intellectual property portfolio without even realizing it?
Most people probably are.
Have you built the factory but simply forgot to put a price tag on the floor plans?
It's a vital question to ask yourself. And it leaves us with a final provocative thought to consider as we close the vault. We are so used to evaluating the worth of companies based on their headcount, their physical real estate, and their venture capital funding rounds.
Right.
But if a single individual operating entirely from their bedroom with off-the-shelf tools, like a local HTML operating system, a custom AI prompt map, and a relentless 15-minute daily focus routine, can architect an intellectual property portfolio that genuinely rivals the output and valuation of a mid-sized tech agency, what does the company of the future actually look like?
It's a wild thing to think about.
Are we entering an era where the most valuable corporations in the world won't have glass buildings, HR departments, or hundreds of employees?
Yeah.
Are we entering a reality where a billion-dollar company consists of just one single human being, entirely synchronized with their perfectly tuned digital ecosystem?
That is a wild, wild thought to sit with. The invisible empire isn't coming. It is already here. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. It has been an absolute blast unpacking this vault with you. Keep exploring, keep organizing your IP, keep moving your one pebble a day, and we will see you on the next one.